Python input output from keyboard files. Let us take a variable str. Input will take the input from the keyboard. So here we can take a string, on what platform do you work, and we can print it using the print command, that str variable, and then we can add some other answer we would like to give it to the question asked. Now read file. We can read a file, my file. Let us take a my file variable and open ctest mytest.txt. It is backslash. We are using an escape sequence, that's why we are using double backslash to read that file. So in ctest there is a mytest file. Here it has got empid, empname, empid1234 and empname abcd. So that is the data we got in that ctest file. And ctest mytest.txt file. So we are opening it. Open is the command to open the file. Open ctest mytest.txt and we are storing it in a variable my file, and str is equal to myfile.read. We are reading that file and taking it into an str variable, and we are printing that str variable. And if you want to split that into different lines, like this one, this part is separate and there will be /n here because it's a new line character. So this will be in a separate line, this will be in a separate line, all are separate lines. Then we can split them. str1 is equal to str.split /n. We can print the str1. We can close the my file variable which we have opened here. Open my file here, so we can close it. My file dot close. Let us execute. So on what platform? First one, we are taking the input from the keyboard. On what platform do you work? Say Python. So the reply is Python is now trending because we have that str and then is now trending. Next we are reading that file ctest mytest.txt. So it has got this data. So it has printed this data because we have read it. We opened that mytest.txt and read it and taken that data into an str variable and printed that str variable. It has printed this one. The next part, we have taken str1 and we split the str with a new line character. So empid is separated by a tab character from empname. So empid/t empname, and then there is a new line character. So and this one we are getting a separate string. 1 and a are separated by a tab, 2 and b are separated by a tab. So that's how we can split a string using the new line character, and we can as well use the /t for a tab character. Now let us see an example how to write to a file. Here in ctest we have my test. It has got this data, empid, empname, and the next line we have 1a, 2b, 3c, 4d. These are separated by a tab and each one is separated by a new line character. One is in a new line. So we'll write a mytest1 file here and see how it writes. So here we are taking a my new file and we are opening ctest mytest1.txt in a writing mode. W is the writing mode. By default, open takes the read mode. That's why in the initial case we didn't give R here, but here while writing it we have to mention that this file is being opened for writing. That's why we are given W here. So here in C test we don't have my test1 file. So if there is no file, then it will create the file. So this open will create the file if there is no file that exists, if it is in the write mode. My new file dot write, here I'm writing empid and I'm separating them by a tab character, empid/t emp name. After that it's a new line character, /n will be new line, so this will be in new line. 1/t a will be in new line, and again we have /n, again 2/tb, in similar way until the end. Let us see how it will write. Now you can check here and see there is no my test1 here. So start with the debug. It has completed. Now let us go and check my test1 created here, and it has written empid emp name 182b. The way we have mentioned it as written. So here say empid /t name empid/t, there is a /n, again 1/t a, and again /n. Similar way other lines. That's how you can write to a file. So if I write some other thing into this file, then what will happen we'll see. So here this part of the code I have commented with single quotes. This means this code has been commented. Now let us comment this part of the code. Comment this part of the code. So now here we are opening this mytest.1.txt again in writing mode, and we are saying my new file dot write. This is a test /n, and my new file dot close. So we are writing this one. This is a test. Now let us execute this. Now let us go to the my test one and open that. So this is a test. So it has overwritten whatever we have written previously, and it has written whatever we have given now. So if you open it in a write mode, every time it will overwrite the file. Now let us see how to append to the text file. So we already have this test1, we already have this my test1, and we have got this is the test. Now let us try to append to it. So we are opening a variable, we are opening the file, and we are taking it into a variable my new file. Open c test my test1.txt, and we are opening it in append mode. A represents append mode, and we are writing it my new file dot write. We are appending here my new file dot close. So let us run this. It has completed successfully. Now let us here open my test. It has appended to the previous text. So if you open it in an append mode, then this text will be written after the previous data in that file. Now let us look into rename and removing a file. So this one, let me comment this part, will remove the file. So initially we'll test the renaming of the file. For that import OS, and OS dot rename. Dot here will get rename. So you can use this os dot rename. We are renaming ctest mytest1.txt to ctest mytest2.txt. So here we have this mytest1.txt in ctest. Have mytest1.txt. We will rename this to mytest2. So let's run this. Successfully run. Now let us go and check. So it is converted to mytest2. We have written this. This is a test in mytest1. So that has been renamed to mytest2. Now we can remove this mytest2 from ctest. We already renamed this, so let us comment this part of the code. Comment this part of the code. os dot remove ctest mytest2.txt. Let's execute this. Successfully run. Now here check this mytest2.txt has been removed now. So that's how you can rename or remove a file. Now let us open in read write mode, and then we'll find out the position of a particular string, then we'll read and then we'll write. So for read write mode is R plus. Let us see the file. This is the mytest3 file that is there in ctest. In ctest there is a mytest file, mytest3 file. It has got two lines. This is a first line and this is a second line. These two lines are there. So I copied those two lines here. This is the first line and this is the second. I just commented them just for reference here. Now my new file variable has this opening of this string. Open ctest mytest3.txt R plus mode. R plus mode means read and write. We are now able to read the file and we are able to write to them. Now this part says x is equal to my new file dot readline. So it will read this first line and then we are printing that line. Next we are trying to find out the position. My new file dot tell. My new file dot tell give us the position, at what position it is after reading the first line, and we are printing that position. str is equal to my new file dot read 9, and then we'll read 9 characters and we'll print those 9 characters, and then we'll find the position again, my new file dot tell, and we'll find we'll print that position, and then we'll read one more, read 1, my new file dot read of 1, and we'll print that str1, and in str2 variable we'll read my new file dot read line again and print str2, and then we will start writing it to the file. My new file dot write, I'm just writing zzz, and my new file dot write lines, I can write multiple lines with write lines. Slash n is in the new line. This is the third line, and slash n, this is the fourth line. And my new file dot close. So let us execute this and see each result. Debug, start with our debugging. Now initially we have read the line and we have printed the line, print of x. So this is the first line, and this has got a new line character, so there is a new line character here, and then We are saying position 1, pos1 is equal to my new file dot tell, and we are printing that position, and it is saying that you are at position 22 now. So here we have 4 letters, plus 2 6 letters, plus 1 7, plus 5 12, plus 4 16, and then these one 17 18 19 20 because of 4 spaces. So this first line has got 20 characters, but it is saying the position is 22. That is because there is a carriage return line feed after this line, because the second line will be in the second line. So after the first line there will be a carriage return and line feed, 2 characters. So 20 plus 2 is 22. So it is saying we are at position 22. After that, str is equal to my new file dot read of 9 characters, and then we are reading from position 22, we are reading again 9 characters. So this is the second line characters. This is a, this comprises 9 characters, 4 plus 2 6 plus 1 7, and 2 spaces 9 characters. After that we have printed that position. That position is 31. Here we got 22, and here 23 24 25 26 27 28 29 30 31. 22 plus this 9 character is 31. So it has given that position is 31, and then we have read again 1 character. str1 is equal to my file dot read 1. After a there is a space, so we have read the space and we have printed that str1. Now str2 is equal to my new file dot read line. So when you said read line, because we are already at the 31st position, so after this is a, we have second line. So that line we have read second line. That part of the line we have read, because we are already at 31st position. And then we have printed that str2, and then we have my new file dot write. So rest of the things, this is the read part, we have finished it. Now it is write part. My new file dot write, we are writing zzz. So there is no new line character here, so it will write after the, this is the second line. After this it will start writing zzz, and then here we are saying my new file dot write lines, and then we are giving a new line character, and this is the third line, and new line character again, this is the fourth line. So after this it will give a new line character and will write the third line and then the fourth line. So let us go to the file and check the file, my test3. So after the second line it has written zzz, because we didn't give any new line character there, and then it has written the, this is the third line and this is the fourth line. So this is how you can read a file, find out the position of a particular string in a file, and then write to the file. And for reading and writing to the file, to the same file, we open it in R plus mode. R plus mode is read and write to the file. Now let us see what seek does. See this. So here we have the file, original file again. It test, there is my test3. This is a first line, this is a second line. Now we want to change a with the. This is the first line, this is the second line. Let us see if we can do it with seek. My new file is equal to, we are opening it, seek test, my test3.txt in R plus mode, because we want to write it, and my new file dot seek 8. This is 4, this is 5, 6, 7, then 8th position is this space. At this point we want to write instead of A, THED. So we are seeking position 8 and then my new file dot write THE, my new file dot close. Let us see what this will do. It ran successful. Let us back. This is C, but it has removed F from that first, the word first. So if you are trying to replace a word here, it will replace the next word also, because if the number of letters are more, because there is only one letter A in the previous case, now there are 3 letters here, so it has taken the space and then the letter F and then replace them with HE. So this is not the way how you can replace this A, FIRST. I'll change it back to my test file, to the original file. So with seek we can seek a particular position, but if you want to replace it, then it will override the other letters too. So seek can be used to seek a particular position. Now let us look into try, finally, and encoding. To write a professional code, we'll use this try, and if there is an exception, to be dealt within the except part, and finally we'll have the final part of the code. And now here we are trying to open mytest3.txt. We have this mytest3.txt here. It has got these 2 lines. So in this part of the code we are trying to open this my new file is equal to open ctest mytest3.txt in a reading format. R indicates reading and the encoding is UTF-8. For Linux it will be UTF, so for Windows it will be 1252. So we have mentioned encoding part, because if you want to code the file, then this will be information will be useful. So str is equal to my new file dot read. We are reading it and we are printing that str. So it has got 2 lines there in that file, so it will print us 2 lines. If there is an error, we are printing err, and then finally it will enter to the finally part and print inside finally and my new file dot close. Let us execute this. So initially we asked it to print the str, with str is reading the file. So we have got these 2 lines, whatever is there in the file, and then there is no error because the file has been successfully opened and read. So it entered the finally part and printed inside finally and then close the file. Now let us try to open a non-existing file, mytest4.txt. So if you go here, there is no mytest4 file here. So if we are trying to open this file, it should display an error. So debug, start with our debugging. So my new file didn't find a file, so it didn't read the file and printed whatever in the contents of the file because there is no file. So it entered the except part and printed err, and then entered the finally part and printed inside finally. So it has entered the finally part, whether there is an error or no error. It has entered the finally part of the code and printed inside finally. And my new file is didn't find any file, so that my new file didn't close the file because it is not defined, because it does not find that file. So that's how you can professionally write the code. Now let us see how to dump into a JSON format, Python and JSON. Here I am taking a list ABC, and here I am importing JSON. Import JSON, and str is equal to JSON dot dumps of that list, and I'm printing that str. And here I am opening a file object. File1 is equal to open ctest file1 dot txt in a write mode, and here I am dumping JSON dot dump that list object into the file1. So let us see, in ctest there is no file1 here. So let us debug, start without. So initially we have printed that str, we have converted into that, dumped into a JSON, that list object, and then printed as an str here ABC. Now let us go and check the file. Test, there is a file1, and it has been dumped into this file1 CSV files. Now let us look at how to read a CSV file. Here in ctest we have this test1, the Microsoft Excel comma separated value file, CSV file. So right click, open with that. So this is the CSV file we created: 1 Peter, 2 James, 3 Rosa, 4 Daniel. So if we double click this and open it in the format, we have 1 Peter, 2 James, 3 Rosa, 4 Daniel. So let us read this CSV file. So the ways we can read this CSV file is, previously we have taken this my file and opened this file in this fashion. So for CSV file also it will be the same. By default it's in reading mode, so we hadn't given R here. So my file is equal to open test1.csv, and str, we are reading it into an str variable, myfile.read, and print str. So other way is import CSV, and with open test1.csv, new line is equal to space as my file, and here I am taking str1 variable. Str1 is equal to csv.reader. Because we have imported CSV here, you say CSV dot, you will get that reader here. So we have used that reader, CSV reader of this my file. This my file, I given it here. So for row in str1, we are printing the row. Let us execute this. So in the first format, it has printed in this fashion: 1 comma Peter, 2 comma James, 3 comma Roger, and 4 comma Daniel. The second fashion, it has printed in this format. So these are the two ways we can read the CSV file. Now let us write to the CSV file. Let's read this part. So here, import CSV, and with open test2.csv in a writing mode, new line is equal to space as my file, and str2 is equal to csv.writer. So if you press here, because we have imported CSV, so we are getting the csv.writer here, csv.writer of this my file, because we have opened this test2.csv. Because in ctest there is no test2.csv to write to, so it will, if there is in writing mode, it will create a file if the file doesn't exist, and if the file exists it will overwrite the file, this writing mode. So for that we should have an append mode. We have seen it while writing to the text files. And str2 is equal to csv.writer my file, str2.write row. You press here, you will get the help this write row. So we have chosen this write row, and if you want to write multiple rows, it is write rows. So we will see both of them. So str2.write row, and we need the heading empid emp name. So we given that empid emp name and comma separated file. And str2.write row, I'm just writing just one row, 5 Kevin. So this will be in the new file test2.csv, not in the test1.csv. So there will be only one row in this new file, that is 5 Kevin. And if you want to write more rows in one go, then import csv, this strn, we have constructed this string. Here I am writing this empid comma emp name and comma 5 comma Kevin comma 6 comma Warner, each one in one block, and everything in this square brackets. So with open c test3.csv, we are writing it into a totally new file, and the writing mode, new line is equal to space as my file, and str3 is equal to csv.writer my file. So we are taking this to my file to write down the rows, and str3.write rows strn, this string we are writing it as write rows, so that all the rows will be written in one go. So two files should be created, test2.csv and test3.csv. test2.csv with these two rows, because we have written them in separate write rows. So this write row and this write row, you will get these two, empid heading and then this row, and here everything we have written in one go, test3.csv. So let us execute and see. So before that, let us check there is no test2 here and no test3 here in C test. So debug, start with our debug. Everything has been written because we didn't get any error. Let us go here, test2. This is a comma separated value file, and this is also a comma separated value file, test2 and test. Let us open with notepad. So empid emp name 5 comma Kevin, it has written this too. Now let us see this test3 file where we have written multiple values in one go. So empid emp name 5 Kevin 6 Warner. So that's how we can use the write row and write rows, either to write one row at a time or multiple rows in single go. Now let us see how can we add a customized delimiter. By default the file is being written comma as delimiter. So now we'll see how we can write with customized delimiter. Here the same code I have taken, import csv, strn is equal to empid emp name, this is the string, with open c test4.csv. Here if you see there are only test3 up to test3. So let us write a new file test4.csv in writing mode, and here str3 change I have made is delimiter is equal to a pipe. So this will change from comma to pipe, because by default it will take comma. So we are changing it to a pipe delimiter, and str3.write rows strn. Let us execute this now. Completed. Just check. test4.csv, right click, open with notepad. So there is a comma, there is a pipe delimiter here, a pipe delimiter here, and a pipe delimiter here. So that is how we can change the default comma delimiter to another delimiter and write the file.